Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. So in this Apex development series we are going to learn about exception handling in Salesforce Apex. So in this video I will cover a lot of things, so stay with us. And if you are new to our channel, make sure hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon so that you can get notification whenever we post new video in our channel. So in the exception handling, first I will explain you what is the difference between compile time and runtime error. Then we will see what is exception and why exception occurs. After that I will explain you how we can manage that exceptions. After that I will explain you how we can manage those exceptions. Then we will see try, catch and finally block, which is used to handle the exceptions. Now first let's understand what is compile time error and runtime error. So the compile time error in Salesforce Apex generally occurs due to syntax error or logical error in the code that the Apex compiler identifies when saving or executing the code. Now first I will show you how the compile time error occur. So let's jump to the developer console. So here I am declaring integer a, then another integer b, and here we will do multiplication a into 10. Now here compile time error occurs while saving the code. Let me save this code, Ctrl S. And now here you can see, here we have one problem. As we click on that, on the line number 7, missing semicolon. Actually this error on line 4, but because of after 4th line, the 7th number line will be executed. For that reason, error is showing on 7th number line. So here I am adding semicolon and then simply save the program. Now here you can see, we don't have any problem. That means the code successfully get saved. Now here the missing syntax is compile time error. Now let's understand the runtime error. So in Salesforce, the runtime error in Apex can arise from several causes such as logic errors, unhandled exceptions, data access issues, or platform limits. Now again jump to the developer console. Now our code has been successfully get saved. Now let's try to debug it. First I need to add any method. So here I will add public void Now to debug the code, click on this debug, then open execute anonymous window. Let me remove this. Now first we will create instance of class. For that, class name space instance equal to new keyword and then again class name. Open close parenthesis. And then using this instance, we need to call the method. Semicolon, and then simply click on execute. Now here you can see, while executing the program, we got error which is on line number 4, system.nullPointer exception. And when this exception occurs, the code get immediately terminated. Now this error occur while running the program. For that it is runtime error. Now understand what is exception in Salesforce. So in Apex, an exception occur at runtime that interrupt the normal flow of program. Now exception can be caused by various issues such as incorrect logic, unexpected condition, system limits, or error in accessing Salesforce resources. Now let me show you how the exception stops the normal flow of execution. So here I will add debug statement system.debug, and here I am adding program started semicolon. And then before this we got exception for this logic. Now after this logic I will add another debug statement system.debug, and here I will enter program ended semicolon. Let me save this. And now to check the flow of execution, we need to debug this. Click on debug, open anonymous window, and then execute. Here we still have error, but as I click on this OK and then close this and click on the logs. Now as I open this log, click on debug only, and now here you can see the debug statement that we entered before the line where we got the exception has been successfully printed. Now as I open the code, Now what is happening here? On the third line, we declare a debug statement which is program started. Now when we executed the program, this line was printed. Now flow goes to fourth line. Here we declare one variable. Now on the fifth line, we are trying to multiply null value with integer. Because when we declared the a integer, we didn't assign any value for a integer. For that reason, on the fifth line, the exception occurs. And because of that, here flow get terminated. And for that reason, the sixth number line, which is debug statement, will not get executed. Now this we called the exception. Now let's understand what is exception handling. In Salesforce Apex, whenever we want to handle an error or event that interrupt the flow of execution and disturb the normal flow of application, we can use exception handling to keep the application running normally. Now because of the fifth number line, the debug statement is not get execute. Now we will handle this error so that even exception occur on the fifth number line, the sixth number line should be get execute. Now we will see try, catch and finally block, which is used to handle the exception. Let me show you. So here we have try, catch and finally block. So in the try block, we entered the logic which might throw exception, and it handles errors and prevent them for interrupting the normal flow of execution. Then we have catch block, which used to handle exception, and it allows us to handle specific type of exception that might occur in the try block. When the exception occurs, Apex jumps from the try block to the directly catch block. And here catch block handle the error instead of interrupting the code of execution. Now what if we entered the code with correct logic and there is no any exception in try block? So at that time, if there is no any exception occur in the try block, the catch block get skipped. That means the catch block will not execute. And now we have finally block. The finally block is optional in exception handling, because in try block the exception get thrown, then in the catch block it get handled. And the finally block contains the code that will always get execute. And if you don't want to add finally block, you can skip that block. Now let's handle this exception. So here first we need to add try block. Here I am adding try, open curly braces, and then you need to close this try block where your logic will be get closed. So here our logic will get closed on the sixth number line. So here I am closing the try block. Now in the try block, we will get an exception. To handle this exception, we need to add catch block. So here I am adding catch block. And whenever we add the catch block, we need to add exception class which handle the exception. So exception is a predefined class, and here we are creating instance of that class. Now again open curly braces, close here. Now in the catch block, we want to display message what is exception is occurred. For that, add the debug statement, system.debug the error is, and now we have get message method of exception class to display the message. So here I will use instance e dot get message, open close parenthesis and then semicolon. Now save this program. So here we have two problems. Problem on line number 9. So here we need to concatenate this by using plus operator. Again save. Now we don't have any problem. So here I am not adding any finally block because that one is optional. Now earlier what happened, when we execute the code, only the first debug statement is get executed. Now we have used the exception handling to continue the flow of execution even there is an exception. Now in the try block we entered the logic, whatever exception will be thrown. Then in the catch block we handled the exception, and then we have debug statement with program ended message. Now let me execute this code. For that click on debug, anonymous window, and then click on execute. Now here you can see at this time there is no any exception message or there is no any exception error. As you click on this debug only, the first debug statement executed. Then in the catch block we entered the error is, and this one is attempt to dereference a null object, and this error displayed by the get message method which is from exception class. and even there was an exception, the last debug statement get executed. Now this is use of exception handling in Salesforce Apex. So even there is exception or not, the flow of execution get continue. Before that, let me show you one exception code. So first here I created exception class which name is exception handling. Then I created one method where I will create new account record. Now in the try block I created a list which stores the new account record. Then I declare S object, account and account instance. Now using that account instance I added account name. Here you can see TS Info Technologies, and then here we have another field rating which is hot. Now here I am adding these fields to the created list, and using insert DML operation I am creating new record of account. So if there will no any error occur, then this account will get created and this debug statement will get execute, which is account record created successfully. Now if any exception occurred, this catch block will handle that exception and the finally block always get execute. But if there will no any error, this catch block will get skipped. Now let me execute this code. For that we need this class name. Click on debug, execute anonymous window, and here we need to create class instance. And here we need to call the method. Here I created create ACC and then click on execute. Now the code gets successfully debugged. That means there is no any error. Let's check the debug log. Account record is created successfully and then execution completed. Now here in the try block the account gets successfully created. Then this catch block skipped and directly finally block get executed, which is execution completed. Now what will happen if there is an error? Let's check. I am changing the account name. That means here I am entering null value. And we know if there is no value in account name, the record will not get saved. Now let's save this and execute. Click on debug only. And now here you can see we got an error, insert failed. And here we also have the message required field missing. That means in the try block we got an exception. The catch block handle that exception with display the message required field missing, and then finally block always get, which is execution completed. So in this way we can handle the exception in Salesforce Apex using try, catch and finally block to continue the flow of code or application. So if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon to get regular updates. Thank you.